Status is decided before you say hello. You step into a small meeting room and two people stop mid-conversation. You have not spoken, yet their bodies reorient and the gap in front of you opens. The observable behavior is how you enter and where you stop, without drifting or apologizing with your feet. When you take a direct line and occupy a stable position, others read certainty and adjust around you because it costs them less than testing you. This shows up when you walk in, stop once, and let the room move. You can recognize it when someone enters and nobody asks where they want to sit because the space has already been claimed. Space gets claimed before words. You cross paths with a colleague near the lift and both slow down. One of you looks first, holds contact, then looks away without breaking pace. The observable behavior is controlled gaze, meaning the eyes land steadily instead of scanning for approval. A steady gaze signals you are not checking reactions for safety, and people unconsciously treat you as the reference point rather than the one seeking permission. In practice, this means your eyes move less but land longer. You can recognize it when someone's eyes do not flick to the floor, their phone, or the nearest exit while you are still looking at them. Darting eyes look like debt. You greet someone at a doorway and hands meet for half a second. One person sets the rhythm, the pressure, and the release, and the other person follows it without noticing. The observable behavior is handshake timing control, where one person decides when contact ends. The effect is immediate, because the person who controls the release frames the interaction as theirs to start and theirs to finish, which quietly assigns the other person the role of responder. This is done by releasing on your timing, not matching theirs. You can recognize it when someone keeps their body still while your arm does the adjusting, then steps through the doorway as if the greeting was a formality. Timing decides who leads the greeting. A proposal gets put on the table and eyes turn to you. You do not answer straight away and nobody interrupts the gap. The observable behavior is a deliberate response pause, not from confusion but from control. The effect is that the other person's urgency leaks into the silence, and the room starts treating your eventual words as the decision point rather than just a reaction. This shows up when you let silence sit after a request. You can recognize it when someone pauses and others begin explaining more, adding details they were not asked for, because they are trying to buy certainty back. Silence makes others show rank. You arrive for a sit-down conversation and there is a choice of seats. One person picks a position with a clear view, settles, and makes the other person work out their place. The observable behavior is selecting a seat that controls sight lines and access, not comfort. The effect is that control of what can be seen becomes control of what can be tracked, and people feel monitored even when you are saying nothing. In practice, this means you sit where you can see entrances and faces. You can recognize it when someone avoids having their back to the room and the other person ends up slightly boxed in, turning their head more just to stay oriented. Angles decide who feels exposed. You sit at a table and place your phone and notebook down. One person sets their items once and never touches them again, while the other keeps adjusting, tapping, and restacking. The observable behavior is territory placement, where objects become an extension of confidence. The effect is that stillness reads as ownership and movement reads as negotiation, so the fidgeting person feels like they are asking for the space they are already in. This is done by setting items down once without readjusting. You can recognize it when someone's hands go quiet and the other person's hands start performing, because tension needs an outlet. Fidgeting shrinks you in place. You speak in a group and watch the reactions. One person gives small nods and brief eye contact like a stamp, while another person nods too early and too often. The observable behavior is selective acknowledgement, where approval is rationed. The effect is that the person who grants acknowledgement becomes the social gate, and others unconsciously start performing for that signal because it reduces uncertainty. This shows up when your nod is rare and timed. You can recognize it when someone talks and keeps checking one face for the nod, and when it does not come, their voice changes and their sentences get longer. Approval is a limited currency. You walk down a narrow corridor towards someone coming the other way. Without a word, one person keeps their line and speed while the other person makes the adjustment, stepping aside first. The observable behavior is trajectory control, meaning who yields and who does not. The effect is status assignment through movement, because the person who changes course is signaling that the other person's path is the priority. In practice, this means you keep line and let the other adjust. You can recognize it when someone never breaks stride and you find yourself moving before you have decided to, then feeling the irritation after your body has already complied. Yielding teaches others your place. You step into a lift with a stranger, and there is a moment of mutual assessment. One person keeps their face neutral and their breathing even, while the other person forces a friendly smile that arrives too fast. The observable behavior is emotional containment, where the face does not over-offer. The effect is that neutrality reads as self-possession and the forced smile reads as bidding, so the smiler becomes the one seeking acceptance in a space where nobody asked for warmth. This shows up when you smile only after contact is made. You can recognize it when someone smiles at the room before the room has even seen them, as if they are trying to prepay for good treatment. Big smiles hand away leverage. You arrive at an office and the door is closed, so you stand in the waiting area. You have not spoken, yet your posture is already communicating what you will tolerate. The observable behavior is whether you remain in a permission stance or settle yourself as if you belong there. The effect is immediate because standing with your weight forward signals readiness to comply, and settling signals you expect the environment to accommodate you. This is done by taking a seat and going still. You can recognize it when someone stays hovering, holding their coat, scanning for cues, and the staff take longer because the body language has already accepted delay. You never got to choose